Hi, my name is Uttam Reddy. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for DoubleHorn, and I'm here with my guest, Bree Westry, Henry Kubion from Dell, Carl Perry, who's going to be joining us for this conversation today about cloud technology.
I came outside of the cloud industry before, ever stepping in here. I didn't really know that much about cloud besides the fact that it existed.
Well, I've been in the IT industry for about 16 years now. The majority of my time in sales, hardware sales for the most part, some services. It's only been recently that I've been involved in selling infrastructure and data center products.
So I'm currently an ecosystem engineer at Packet. We operate a bare metal cloud, but previous to that, I've done a bunch of different positions in both operating and using various cloud products. So I was the cloud architect at DreamHost, helped build their cloud computing products. I was a solutions architect at Midakura, which is a software-defined networking company. And I was a cloud solutions architect at Red Hat.
You're not that familiar with cloud prior to coming to work for a cloud brokerage company?
Well, I'm held to a sizable quota for cloud infrastructure, but that's usually where I draw my expertise.
So clearly you are very familiar with cloud technology.
Just a little bit.
Before you came to DoubleHorn, have you ever heard of a cloud services broker?
No, I didn't know that existed at all.
Only recently did I hear about that, and I'm not entirely familiar what that encompasses.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, no, because even when I tell my friends, where I intern, and then I say, oh, it's a cloud brokerage, they're like, what is that? Nobody seems to know.
I would imagine that it's finding the best solution for one of your clients, not only from a hybrid or multi-cloud perspective, but also what kind of services tailored to their individual needs.
So there's a couple different kinds. The ones that I'm most familiar with are ones where basically they leverage multiple customers with the larger service providers in order to get you better pricing deals and make it easier for you to migrate between various services and technologies that are used in different clouds.
Okay, containers, no idea, but all I hear is Kubernetes containers all day long. So that's the only but platforms, I do know that's whatever system each company has built up that can support people to store data or whatever kind of project management or I guess that's IT things that they're trying to do.
I think I can talk at a high level about all of them. Infrastructure, which is where I spend the majority of my time, is the actual equipment upon which these clouds reside, whether it's server, storage, networking equipment. It can also be converged, which is a trend that we're seeing lately. A platform is, to me, the software choice that the customer has selected to deliver those services. Containers are similar to a virtualized machine in the sense that it's a partition, a unit of containment for that data that they can access that is available to them for both security and consumption.
Oh yeah, so infrastructure, I kind of understand it from a basics, kind of like what they've built and how good it is, and if it's on premises versus off premises. Is that correct?
Software as a service it's exactly that. It's a consumption model for the most part, where companies are paying for that software as needed and not having to enter these contracts that hold them down to a particular platform or a particular infrastructure expense.
They don't actually own any hardware or software for the matter.
Correct. They just consume it.
So software as a service would basically be, it's something that the cloud provider is operating on your behalf and you're just consuming it. So a great example of this would be something like RDS at Amazon, where they basically manage all the database stuff for you and you just use it, or even something like the big data services over at Google, where they run all of that infrastructure on the back end, the big table, all of that stuff, and then you just use it as a user without having to manage any of it other than having access credentials, and then you just pay for it on a consumption basis. Containers is basically a way of allowing you to run multiple applications on top of an instance while having some level of security segregation between them. So you can also segregate resources, amount of compute time, amount of memory, put limits on items like that. And then As you go farther down the stack, you have things like you can run VMs. So like at Packet, we just provide you the bare metal machine. So a lot of our customers can put VMs on top of it so that it looks a lot more like all the other cloud providers. Or you can just run the containers directly on the bare metal if you want the maximum possible performance.
I think, honestly, in my honest opinion, I think it's more secure because of the idea, you just see all the time, like when you go into some businesses, people I feel like they have a lot going on. And the idea that you would also have to manage this one area that keeps the entire foundation of the company, everybody's data, I feel like that in itself just is such a liability. What if the building burns down? Where do you have like security with that? And like I feel giving a little bit of that control to somebody who is designed to know how to, take care of your data, giving that control ends up creating a lot more safer environment for those companies in the long run.
Look, unless you're talking about some very secure, on-prem, behind the firewall type of data, I would say that it can be just as secure. It really depends on how you structure it. I think that is it's a misperception among many customers because they don't have the right setup. Now, I wouldn't recommend that a customer put their IP or their customer data on a public cloud without having, a well-designed approach. But I think you can embed enough security to protect, a cloud environment.
It's about the same. So you've got problems in both. In traditional data centers, the biggest thing that you run into is that machine's been running for 15 years and nobody's touched it. So that has the litany of security problems because nobody's applied the updates because it's business critical and we don't want to take it offline. In the cloud, you have some other stuff. So you have the big scary things like Spectre and Meltdown where people can abuse VM instances to be able to look at memory and processes running in other VM instances. And you kind of have to hope that the cloud provider is implementing all of the correct technologies in order to make that go away. So it's kind of a trade-off for both. There's obviously a higher operational cost for doing stuff in traditional data centers, but it can be more secure if you have really good operational practices. But if you're not used to doing that, and you're just going to leverage a lot of the services in a cloud provider as opposed to just running it all on infrastructure, that tends to be a more secure approach going long term.
Thinking of myself, especially people around my age, we still have those ideas where we're wanting to start companies, and especially in Austin, a growing environment of like young entrepreneurs that have these good ideas and they have all the stuff that they want to do, but not necessarily the background in every single aspect of what is necessary to run a business. And if you find that you need storage and data and like places to, set up different applications that you want and you don't really know where to start, it makes sense to go to somebody that knows instead of going directly to just like a service provider and then, having to have that either not work out or you having trouble just understanding the system. I feel going to somebody that has that know-how, you're just going to save yourself time and in the long run save your business a lot of money.
Well, I think if you're a new company or a company that is just considering going to the cloud, I think where I see the biggest benefit to a broker would be not only in getting them the best option for their particular requirements, but also advising in the setup, the design, and what kind of support in particular. That's going to be really key for somebody who's starting out.
Right.
I would also think if you have a customer that is already on the cloud, they may look to a broker for optimization. Maybe they're growing, maybe they're adding different revenue streams that may radically change their data storage requirements. And that would put them in a position where a broker could really help them, sort that out.
But like I said, the biggest one is being able to pool resources together to get prices down. Mm-hmm. Most of the cloud providers, the more you consume, the cheaper it is. So being able to aggregate all of your stuff along with all the stuff that the other cloud brokers' customers are doing is going to get you a better rate overall. The other one is the expertise and the guidance that the cloud broker is going to have in order to be able to explain, yes, you can run Postgres on your own, but you might be better using a managed Postgres solution if you don't have all that expertise in-house.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to thank you for joining us in
Thank
this
you.
conversation around, it's been enlightening to talk to you about cloud brokerage and the
pleasure.
different capabilities. Thank you for joining us today.